I think I will be starting in 1 minute. Thank you for coming today. Appreciate your time today. So I will use English to present this seminar, but I will speak slowly and also make it as understandable as possible so that any foreign persons will be able to understand the content. And I'll be mixing my little sense of humor so that you would enjoy watching this very short webinar. But I want to make sure my webinar will be very helpful to you. I'm using form. I will show your form, W8 band or I407, and go through each form with you. So you will not be surprised when you see the actual form. So let's get started. As you know, my name is Ko Fujimoto. I'm running this company, CHI Border, Cross-Border Individual Tax Advisory Firm. This is our disclaimer, and I'm not gonna lead this. And today's topic, let's see. I think my screen says microphone issue, but you should be, I think you can hear. Hello, hello, hello. I think you can hear. All right, so let's resume. So today's, and if you can't hear me, please just, send me a chat or let's see. Now I make everyone be able to say something on the chat. So if you cannot hear me, let me know. Because otherwise, unless you tell me, I can't really tell. So today's topic is giving up green card status process. I am going through two things here, our mission, vision, and agenda. Our mission, vision, or vision, mission, I'm mixing these two together, is to create the most rewarding working environment for all team members, advance globalization and world peace, and be the best international tax planning firm for cross-border individuals and their families. And this is what we believe in, and this is what we do every day. So today, first, I'm going to touch on what you need to plan before you you actually give up your green card and go back to your home country, what you need to check. And I selected 3. And once you move back to your country, the next thing that you need to do is file I-407. File, submit your I-407. And then tell the government, hey, I am no longer a US resident. Don't treat me as if I am a US resident. And then let's see what's the next action item. So once you submit your I-407, let's say this year, 2024, you do need to report your giving up green card and your taxes up until the day when you give up your green card to the IRS And this presumably be the last tax return for you. And hopefully that will be the case. And as a last action item, you would submit W-8 to financial institutions where you still have an account in the United States. So you do not submit W-8 to IRS. You do submit a W-8 to financial institutions. Then we have a Q&A session, and people tend to be shy, and I'm discouraging you to raise questions. Feel free to raise questions during the webinar. You can press the button Q&A in a Zoom menu. And if you don't want to show your name, you can select anonymous option and ask me questions. If you want to ask me questions in Japanese language, I'll be more than happy to respond and translate, respond in both languages to you. And the purpose of this webinar is for you to get the most out from what I know. So please take a full advantage of your time. Okay, so let's get started. Process of giving up your green card. I am going through the process one more time. The first process is planning. If I give up a green card, how can I come back to US to visit my grandchildren? You are no longer green card holder, so you probably need to come back here using ESTA or tourist visa. I think my knowledge tells me that the maximum duration where you can stay in the US with ESTA, I think is 3 months. The tax compliance, major difference before and after you give up your green card is before you are a green card holder, US government has a right to tax your worldwide income, all the income, and they want to know your foreign bank accounts or foreign financial accounts, wherever you have those accounts. So US government or US tax policy is if you are a citizen or if you are permanent resident or you are tax resident because of your number of days you stay. Okay, I got a first question. Thank you very much. So where are we? Okay, so the US government wants to tax your worldwide income, and basically they want to know, pretty much all the financial matters related to the taxes. But after you give up your green card, you are no longer US tax resident. That means the power that IRS had greatly get diminished, greatly reduced. And in a rare instances, you do need to still file US tax returns to the IRS. Same thing for financial institutions, the banks, brokerage house, investment company. They would welcome you, especially if you have a lot of money, as a US resident to have an account. But once you become a non-resident, the cost of handling, cost of maintaining your non-resident account gets too high. Therefore, quite a few financial institutions do not want to keep your accounts. Why the cost gets so high? It is because their duty of reporting to, I think, the Treasury Department. In other words, it's a compliance related cost. So you think these things thoroughly, and I think in terms of the tax compliance, you also want to make sure that if you're subject to US exit tax or not, right? So, all right, you already made up your mind and you went back to your home country. Once you reached and reside in your home country, you file I-407. And I'm going to go through I-407 very carefully today. But in essence, this is your letter, or your notice to the US government that hey, I am voluntarily giving up my green card. That's my intention. And well, for whatever reason, I think you would say, for my permanent retirement, or for take care of my parents, or for because I think Japan is safer than the United States. I think that would be also a bona fide reason. The price level is cheaper and so forth. Anyway, so you file I-407 presumably once you get to a different country or your home country. Then the years ends at 12/31. The process is not over. You still need to file US tax returns to report previous years. The year when you gave up your green card. So the form is called 1040 NR dual status, and for form 8854, and if applicable, W8 Ben. W8 Ben. Okay. I think we have one question. Is there any difference between giving up US green card and US citizenship when we go back to our home country? Procedure or conditions? Okay, no problem. I am doing my best to explain. All right, so in the planning stage, and I'm sure today's participants, many of you are in the planning stage. So I list 3 key questions for you. Number 1, does your US bank let you keep the accounts? So my first recommendation, contact your financial institution, bank. I mean, I can probably use a name here. JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or investment company, Charles Schwab, Merrill Lynch, what's the other? I can only think of two. That's a shame. The E-Trade, or E-Trade is a financial broker. Contact them and tell them that you're going to give up your US green card or US citizenship and reside in different country, right? You tell them. And this in November or December or October, we are going home or going back, and then renounce or giving up green card or US citizenship. US citizenship, giving up US citizenship I think take a longer and requires 1 or 2 interviews. But so you getting back to the first point, you ask them now. Don't feel relieved after you receive an answer from a person that no problem, we can keep your account. Wait a minute, that's only one person's verbal statement. Barbar's no record, no email, no written letter. I'm sure you have many instances, or you have experience of someone says this, but in reality, the company's position is completely different. And in the US, unfortunately, that's very common, very common. So my advice is be very careful and do not rely on one person's verbal statement. If possible, get it in a writing. Get it in a writing email, or get it in a writing and then keep it. The worst thing that could happen is you trust that person, you go back to your home country, and then you get a letter or email from that financial institution saying, hey, our policy is not to have a financial account owned by US non-resident. And you say, well, please, but one of your employees told me that I can still keep. And their response would be, okay, I think our employee made a mistake. This is our policy and you must follow, right? So be careful. I don't want you to regret. I think trusting a person is a good thing. It's very good thing as a human being. But reality is sometimes people make a personal or make a statement that is not really true. In addition, the financial institution, the companies, banks, and the investment companies can change their position at any time too. So if in doubt, some people, I think, would keep 2 accounts just in case the first one does not work. Then you move it to the second account. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to set up a new account. I think it's pretty much impossible. Once you become a non-resident, once you give up your green card and you are in different country asking, hey, can you set up my account? And most of the responses that you would get is no. So having an account first is, while you are resident is important. Okay, I should probably speed up a little bit. When you file, getting to the next year, you file your final tax return. And I'm going to explain that in this webinar, But in that section, the form asks you, have you been in a federal tax compliance for the last 5 years? Last 5 years means not including the year when you give up your green card. So starting from last year, going back 5. And that's you need to declare on the form that you have been in compliance. And if you are not, examples, forgot to report my accounts in a foreign country and I missed 3 of them, or I missed 2, or I completely forgot to report foreign bank accounts, or I forgot to report inheritance received from my parent 3 years ago. Those things, right? And then related to number 2, are you really sure before you give up your green card, are you really sure you will not be subject to U.S. exit tax? U.S. exit tax amount determines on the day, 1 day before you give up your green card. So it's a pinpoint kind of a liability. Once you give up your green card, and once you know that you are subject to U.S. exit tax, after the fact, you cannot change it. You cannot change it after the fact. So be very mindful about the exit tax liability. If I can, I'll speak a little bit about exit tax liability later. Okay, so you plan through. Preparation is done, complete, and I moved back to the home country. And for you, there is no reason that you wait to file I-407. You wait 2 months to file I-407. I think there are some people, there is a reason for them to wait filing I-407, okay? But under a normal circumstance, because it's not a good idea, because I-407, if you don't file I-407, you're still green card holder. So you move to your home country and then living there, and then you feel like okay, I came home. I am a resident of this country. But unfortunately, unless you file I-407, you are almost like a dual. You are resident of the United States and you are resident of, let's say, Japan or Korea or China. So as soon as you go back, unless you file your I-407, you are almost like a dual resident. What does it mean? Dual resident meaning double taxation, making your tax return more complicated. More complicated means more expensive. More expensive. So, under normal circumstance, you want to submit your I-407 quicker. So the process is find I-407 on the web. Let's see if I can show you the website. Website is I am using a dark mode, so dark mode screen, so bear with me. So this is I-407. If you simply type I-407, you get this screen. And let's see, next share. If I go to okay. All right, here you go. So this is the form. I'm sure you're seeing the Lear I-407. So let me touch bases on this one. If you look at the top right-hand side corner, I think you're seeing this. Okay, top right-hand side corner. It says expires July 31, 2023. But it now is July 2024. It's almost ending July. So this is a year-old form. But this is the latest form. It's I think it's okay to use this form because this form is on the USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website. This is the latest. I think they haven't really updated the form. And the form has three parts. Part one is, I think maybe two parts. Part one is information about you and, alien legislation, your name exactly as it appears on your permanent resident card. And if you have a USCIS online account, you enter here. So basically, this is your information. Number 8, state the reason for abandoning lawful permanent resident status. Hey, I want to go back to, let's say, Japan for permanently retire there. That's I think that's a very legitimate reason. And here is your address outside of United States. And just in case the English address could be difficult for the country's post office to deliver the notice from USCIS. I think they are kind enough to put your home country's language here. And you do need to enclose your permanent resident card, green card, and then you put yes. And if you don't have a green card, either lost, stolen, mutilated, or somebody broke it, and then 12E, I think you put the date and list other documents. I think if you have a re-entry permit issued, you would enter, I think it's called I-131. And 13 ABCD, I'm submitting Form I-407 outside of the United States in person. I think a majority of the people would not select this. I think USCIS wants you to send it by mail. So majority of the people would select 13B. I don't think they would be allowing people to come to the USCIS in person to submit the I-407. Okay. So final part is certification. And here you go, 14A, you sign here. 14B, your name. And 14C, the date of your signature. And the part 2 is interpreter's contact information. So majority of the individuals do not have to worry about this. And the part 3 is for government use only. So you don't have to fill out this section. So just the filling out part 1 is sufficient. Okay. And send this form with a green card, original green card, to USCIS. If you're husband and wife, I think you can send both together or separately. I personally think it's better to send it separately. Please take a photocopy of your green card and I-407 as your record, and make sure you can track your mailing. Track your mailing meaning when you send it, when it arrived, and once it arrived, then they will notice you by email first, and then the regular letter back to you. But the important date is the date when you send in the I-407. That is considered as the date, the last day of your permanent resident status. I'll say one more time. The date when you send I-407 is considered as the last day of your green card status. Therefore, any documents that proves that you send in your green card and I-407 on specific day is a critical documentation. Okay, so I think I mentioned about the tracking, and you would receive a notice from USCIS by mail that they approve your I-407. You want to keep that hard copy too. And I think just in case if you travel to US later, as a tourist, you still want to keep that. The theory is once USCIS receives your I-407, then they will update your record and notify the fact to the IRS. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Okay, tax duties. Discover, let's see, I think I need to go back to, here you go. Okay. Discover the pivotal tax responsibilities that linger after you renounce your US permanent residency. And this section is same as, actually, same thing happens to a person who gives up US citizenship. So, tax filing, 1040 NR dual status. This would be presumably your final US returns. And in this return, you cannot take a standard deduction, only itemized deduction. Oh, getting back to the citizenship, I think the you give up your citizenship by receiving, I think, notice of, loss of citizenship, probably from U.S. Embassy in your home country. And you would use that date as a last day to prepare your final tax return. One more thing that I need to say here is 1040 NOR dual status is per person. So if you're a couple, married, you used to file married filing joint. Now you need to file married filing separate. So 2 returns. And it says dual. Why dual? Because you have 1 year includes the period where when you are a resident, you give up your green card right here. And then rest of the year will be you are U.S. non-resident. So there are 2 status together. Therefore, it's called 1040 NOR dual status. And then with that return, there is a form that most of you need to attach. It's called Form 8854. I said most of them because there are a group of people who don't have to attach 8854. They are the person, green card holder, whose holding period is less than 8 years. 8 years. If you're a green card holder, even 1 day in a year, count it as a 1 year. So it's almost like in 6 years and a half would get you file 8854. So on this 8854, you do need to declare that you have been in compliance with the federal income tax or federal tax. And you do need to list your federal income tax liability, amount for the same 5 years. Because, well, let's get back. I think I will speak a little bit about the exit tax. So 5-year compliance. If you say, I was not in compliance, then your status would be moved to status called covered expatriate. Some of the covered expatriate may have to pay U.S. exit tax on this return. 5-year income tax liabilities. If your average income tax liability exceeds certain amount, same thing happens. You be a covered expatriate, and you may end up paying exit tax right here. The final part of 8854 is your balance sheet. How much asset do you have, and what type of asset do you have? Translate the fair market value, the value that you can sell now, to US dollars, and find your net asset. What is a net asset? Assets minus liability, assets minus debt, loan, credit card. So this is my asset, net asset, right? If the net asset equals or exceed $2 million, again, you'll be a covered expatriate and may subject to the U.S. exit tax. There are a lot of covered expatriates who are not subject to U.S. exit tax. So this gets a little complicated, right? Okay, have you had green card less than 8 years? Then you can completely forget about 8854 and exit tax. But you had the green card 8 years or more, okay, then you need to worry about 8854. You must fill out this form regardless. Then, based on the 8854, some of you will be covered expatriates. Okay, we are covered expatriates, and then some of you will not be a covered expatriates, and those people, done, no more work. But if you're covered expatriates, and I think on the form you would be able to find out, as you fill out or as a CPA fills out your 8854, boom, you're covered expatriates, but some of them would end up paying US taxes, and some of you will not have to pay US exit tax. So it's a step-by-step process, and you don't want to see a surprise and huge tax liability, and the next year you file your I-407, boom, I have to pay $100,000 to the US government. That's not I expected, and that's what I think you want to avoid. I think I already explained exit tax already. So what type of tax, what type of thing that you get taxed, right? The first one, very typical one, is unrealized capital gains. I'm talking about number 2, unrealized capital gains. So you have a stock, Apple, Macintosh or Apple stock. 20 years ago, you bought Apple stock, very cheap. Now it's a fortune. Same thing for maybe, Tesla stock, very low cost and very high value now. So you still haven't sold those stock, but there is an unrealized gain. If you sell it today, how much can you get it? Actually, to be precise, if you sell it on the day before you're giving up green card the day and the cost, what's the capital gain? And there is a huge exemption for individual, I think 866,000 or maybe more. If your unrealized capital gain exceeds that amount, then you end up paying taxes. Not too many people, pay this type of tax. So don't worry, unless you are one of the lucky investors. The bad part is IRA. If you have a traditional IRA and you are covered expatriates, you must pay tax as if you sold or as if you get the distribution for the entire amount of your IRA. And that's you don't want to have that. And number 2 is 401k. 401k, if you choose to file a specific document, you get to only withhold 30% from your distribution of your 401k. So that's your choice. Now I'm talking about the covered expatriates. If you're not the covered expatriates, once you go back to your home country, then depending on the tax treaties that the home country has with the US, some countries says, oh, you don't have to pay taxes to the US government for your retirement income. you only need to pay taxes on your retirement income to your home country, and because of the tax treaty. So that's a non-covered expatriate side. But if you are covered expatriates, distribution will be subject to 30% withholding. Okay, so you don't want to worry too much about this once you move to the foreign country. Correct, right? So you want to know, I mean, you want to move it. This is your only process, one-time process. You don't want to go through this process twice or 3 times, and you will not. So you want to make it as painless as possible, and you want to make it as predictable as possible. Okay. So up to here, U.S. green card holders and U.S. citizenship, I think it's completely, exactly the same. So if you give up your U.S. citizenship, you may have to file. I think you must file Form 8854, and you'd file 1040 NOR dual status, and also you may end up paying an exit tax. Same tax scheme. Okay, so what's the potential, or should I just show you? I think I should show you 1040 NOR just for your, yeah, I should show you 1040 NOR. Okay. Here is the form of 1040 NOR. Looks like a, Form 1040. Two-page form. Okay. Okay, let's get back to the webinar's slide. So the potential future duties, meaning, all right, I was able to give up my green card, or I was able to give up my US citizenship. Then what? For US side. If you still have a real estate in the US, either as a rental activities, or you end up selling your house or your condo after you move back to foreign country and you are done giving up your green card or citizenship, then you still have to report this. And gain or loss, you may end up paying taxes. If you still own the business in the US, such as LLC, probably not the S Corp, I think, C Corporation, or you are in a partnership. So it's a US trade or business, and you most likely need to still file your US tax returns. And you have an investment income, interest, dividend, or capital gains. For some countries, you may still need to file your US tax returns. For those countries such as Japan and US has an income tax treaty, one of the, I think, 20 or 30 countries. You don't have to file US income tax returns on interest, dividend, or capital gains. I think interest and capital gains, you pay taxes to Japan. You don't have to do anything. And dividend, I think most of the companies' dividend, 10% will be withheld by the corporation and submit that, send that 10% to US government, and you get the 90% portion of the dividend. And then I think you would report the 10% as a foreign taxes to the Japanese or the Japanese government. I'm talking about the Japan's case. Okay. I think this is also the same between green card and US citizenship for those who, give up those rights. And as a final piece, there is a form called the W-8 Ben. W-8 Ben. Okay. I am going through the form later, so I have 10 minutes to go. So when do you send in W-8 Ben? After you submit your I-407. You can talk to your financial institution about, where to send it and what's the address, and do you still have a special form to fill out and so forth. I think I recommend you to talk to your financial advisor, not the financial advisor, but the person at the financial institution, person at the bank, person at the investment brokerage house. Talk to them about your duty of submitting W-8 Ben to them and send it to financial institutions, not to send it to US IRS. And the form is good for 3 years. So typically, financial institutions in the US inform you before your current W-8 Ben expires, hey, please submit a new form to us. So how to fill out the W-8 Ben? Let's go to W-8 Ben then. Here you go. W-8 Ben has 3 parts. The purpose of the W-8 Ben is to tell the withholding agent, your banks and the investment brokerage house, that you are no longer a US tax resident. So that's the purpose. And if you look at part 1, this is your information, right? 1, name, 2, country, 3, permanent resident address, and so forth. Number 5 is US taxpayer identification number, Social Security or ITIN. And then 6A, foreign tax identification number. The check if FTIN is legally required. 7, reference number. 8, date of birth, see instructions. Most of the people don't have to fill out 6A to 8. I think the critical part is 1 to 5, especially 5, right? 5 is most important. Social Security number, that's your identification number. But if you have any, concerns, check with your advisor. See if you need a foreign tax identification number. I think in case of Japan, it's my number. Part 2 is claim of tax treaty benefits. This part 2, majority of the individual only need to fill out number 9. And I certify that beneficiary owner is a resident of to make a simple English, which country do you live in? So you put Japan, or you put Germany or France or Canada, and that's the end. 10 is special rates and conditions. Like I said, majority of people don't have to fill out. So if you're concerned, if you have any special, it's very difficult to explain here. But here, you are in a little bit unique situation, check with your tax advisor. And finally is a certification. You don't have to, fill out anything, but a sign here is, you sign, date, your print your name, and if you, just in case you are signing on behalf of your children, then you check mark this section. Okay. So I think I already showed you 3 sections of how to fill out W-8 pen and consult professional as needed. I think this is pretty much the end of my presentation. I think feel free to ask me a question, but let me try to answer first question that I received. Is there any difference between giving up US green card and US citizenship when we go back to our home country? So the things that I have talked about, the US side and US side story, giving up green card is, I think, is less intensive, easier than giving up US citizenship. So giving up you give up your green card not in the not when you are in the US, you go back to home country and you give up. US citizenship, if you have a US citizenship, I think I think, let's say your home country allows you to have a dual citizenship. Then you may be able to give up your US citizenship while you are in the US. But most of the time, I think you go back to your home country. For a case like Japan, you go back to your home country, and well, this is completely off the subject, but the certain individual are grandfathered for dual citizenship. If you're a minor, or I think if you're special circumstances, you have other nationality. But majority of people like me, I chose to become a US citizen. As soon as I chose to become US citizen and then I obtained my US citizenship, I lost my Japanese citizenship. So if I go back to Japan and if I try to give up my US citizenship, there'll be a core because I don't have any Japanese citizenship. So before I give up my US citizenship, I do need to re-obtain Japanese citizenship. And once I get the Japanese citizenship, then I move on to proceed to give up my US citizenship. So you don't want to become a person with no nationality. So to give up a US citizenship, you need to have another citizenship first, and then you give up. The process takes, I think, it's like a green card here. You stay in, let's say in Japan, 3 years, and then you get a permanent resident card. And then once the government determines that you have a good character and you're not harm to Japan, then they will grant you, Japanese citizenship, I think. So then you give up your, U.S. citizenship. So it's a very involving process. If you are, interested in knowing, okay, what if I go back to Japan with U.S. citizenship and live there, what's the difference between foreigners and Japanese nationals? Is something that I can refer you to a professional in Japan, and he can talk more about differences. I think the time to set up a bank account is different, and some restrictions on the investment, and some tax breaks for the first 5 years. There are lots to talk about. So, do you have any more questions? If so, please feel free to post it. If not, I will get to finish this seminar. So please experience expert tax consultation. This is our contact details. And I hope you would take advantage of our 30 minutes complimentary online consultation. Do you have any questions? No? Well, people are very shy today, but I hope you enjoy our presentation, and I hope I gave you a value for your time. So thanks a lot, and have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.